All right, guys. Hey, welcome to The Rock Live. We are live here in the youth room, and tonight we have a lot of cool things planned. We have an activity of some sorts with Brendan and Peyton. We have a worship song with Cam back there. You are on warning. We have Camden back there directing everything with tech. Already failed first job.
My bad.
And then I'm going to share a word. We're going to have a quick discussion, and it's going to be a really cool night. So actually, we're just going to go ahead and get started with you guys, if you're ready. And you can go to them and explain what you guys are trying to do here.
We're playing Connect 4.
Yeah.
Gabe said to be entertaining, and we racked our brains all day, and this was the best we could do.
Yeah.
If we're not entertaining, we have to eat oatmeal, dry oatmeal, mixed with mustard. So hopefully we're entertaining.
Please be entertained.
Please be entertained.
Please.
We're in
It
danger.
was either this or me and Brennan just 1v1ing in Grog, so
If you want to see that, maybe next week.
if you want to see me and Brendan 1v1 in Grog, comment down below.
All right.
Do you want to go first?
You go first.
Okay. I'm going there
Bot
because
move.
I think
Going down like Donkey Kong, dude.
we talked some mad smack. Interesting move. That was.
I'm a lot more confused by your move. I don't.
Wait, do you guys have like a punishment ready for like a loser or something?
It's just if people aren't entertained.
If people aren't entertained, then
I'm
one of
pretty
us
sure.
be entertained.
Wait, hang on. Put a pause on that. Put a pause on that.
We're pausing.
Hey, everyone. Vote, comment below if you think that there should be a punishment for the loser of this game. Let's make the stakes go a little higher. My recommendation has been that the loser, I just looked in my fridge, dry oatmeal, I have mustard, mayonnaise, chips,
Sprite.
Sprite. Comment a recommendation of what you think the loser should do. The best one will become the punishment for the loser of this Connect 4. I just made things a little spicier. We can call this Spicy Connect 4. Oh, next week. Wait, what?
Next week's the spicy chicken nuggets.
Next week is Spicy Chicken Nugget. Actually, next week.
Next
But we'll get on that. Back to Connect 4.
It's his turn.
It's my turn. It's a good thing you said that because I had no idea.
I could have got another little bit of.
I am a goldfish in terms of my ability to read what's happening. Is this a good? Oh, I just.
Alex said punishment must happen. He is not entertained.
Well, Alex. What is that?
You keep playing, guys.
I'm scared.
Entertain people.
Like Alex had come up with much better.
It looks like Payne's about to win. Oh, he just got blocked. And then we got Payne with his rebound. It looks like he's got 3 more than Brendan has. Brendan doesn't really have a lot of opportunities here for winning, but there could be a comeback. Payne seems to be setting himself up for a future plan. Seems to be a very interesting play here. Let me do this real quick, just because.
I won.
Oh, I was.
Ah! What?
Stupid game.
Well, Cam, right here.
Oh, I got more if you want.
Oh, please not the relish. Please not
All right,
the
here we
relish.
go.
I hate relish.
I'll be right back.
I
Yeah.
would say I'm
You
allergic to
keep
relish.
bringing stuff,
I'm
keep
allergic to
bringing stuff.
relish.
So here we have some things,
I was not
whatever
expecting that.
whatever Cam is bringing. Unless you guys think there should be a rematch, but oh, applesauce! I forgot about
Yo,
that.
toss the applesauce over here. I want that.
No.
Please not the relish.
Uh,
Why do we have so many condiments?
All right, that's good. Just bring the oatmeal. It's in a bag.
Why are there?
All right, guys. I will take the first comment I see here of what do you guys think we should do for this punishment? Because we have a lot of stuff here.
Why do we have this many condiments?
Because we are a youth group and we do a lot of outings with applesauce, oatmeal, honey, mustard, relish, mayo, and grape jelly.
My only problem is the relish. I can't take it.
So whatever is the first comments I see here is what Brennan's gonna eat before we
Same.
move on to better things like talking about the gospel and stuff. So I'm waiting on this first comment. Whoever has an idea, a comment, is what we're going to do.
No, stupid.
As I wait on that,
You got lucky.
Actually, if you
here you go, Brendan. Come take all this stuff, put it right there, on top of that thing. Well, actually, put it somewhere. That's my soda. Thank you. Let's move on to other stuff. Alex is the only one commenting here, which is okay, I guess. Mustard and relish.
We have bowls.
All Alex.
I'm just gonna put everything in a bowl and eat it.
You make it work. You do you. All right, guys. As Brendan prepares his punishment, I think next week we can, or next time we do something, we can make it a little more interesting.
Expecting that to last a lot longer.
I expected it to last longer too. Honestly, I expected Brendan to win. No offense.
Dang.
Just because you were so doubtful the whole time, you kept acting like you were gonna lose earlier.
It's a mind game.
Oh,
It's a
you
mind
got
game.
him. It
I did.
worked.
I got in his head.
Dude, he read you like a book.
And if he hadn't done that, my next move actually would have trapped him, and I would have had two combinations
Genius.
that would have worked.
Genius. This is psychological warfare here. So okay, here's what we're gonna do, Brendan. Cup of oatmeal with some mustard and relish, dry. Okay.
Where's the spoons?
Grab a spoon.
Where's the spoons?
So just open. Should I prepare this?
Open. Yeah, you should prepare it. Be nice though. Be nice.
I will. I'm
Okay, so hey, let me do some announcements. Let's talk about stuff that is important besides this, because this is really not important. Announcements. Next week we will not have Rock Live. Next week we are going to be at Wonder Valley Camp. So next week there's going to be a July the 5th firework pulled pork fundraiser for Wonder Valley. So what we're going to do is, if you want to come with us, we're going to announce it during the week, so don't worry. We're going to take the buses up there, and we are going to be at Wonder Valley. You guys will be paid for if you come with us, and we're going to have a dinner together, watch a fireworks show, and all the money is going to go towards Wonder Valley. As you know, they had to close camp all summer, so they're trying to fundraise. So we're going to do that with them. So if you are interested in doing that, we'll be there next Sunday evening at Wonder Valley. I'll post about it, about the exact times, and if you need to bring any money, I think they're selling some cool T-shirts too. So no Rock Live next week. Then the week after that, we are starting a new series, 1 John, and it's what is it like to follow Jesus? We've been talking about a new normal. What does it look like to adjust our lives, after the quarantine? And now we're going to take a book of the Bible, and we're going to see what the scriptures say as to how we should be following Jesus with our lives. And I'm really excited for that. And it's going to be more of a Bible study discussion. So I look forward to making that transition to where we're actually going through the Bible together. Middle school, tomorrow night, we're going to have a meeting with some elders and deacons, and we're going to talk about what reopening is going to look like for you guys. So if you're a middle schooler watching this, we might have something coming up really soon for you guys to join us again, to have youth group together, some gatherings or small events. So middle school, we're having that meeting to discuss that. Stay tuned, because we miss hanging out with you guys. I know that high schoolers, we've been doing stuff with you guys, but middle school stuff's coming soon, so stay tuned for that. And high school, we'll see you this Wednesday for our rock gatherings. Those are still happening, starting at 7 p.m. Those are going really, really amazing. Such a great time, worshiping together and just doing stuff together. Really has been awesome. We had that barbecue last week. A lot of people came, but it was pretty cool. We made brats. Jeff made brats. Jeff cooked. He was a cook. So it was a really good time. So it seems that the guys left. I wonder if they just
Left town.
were like, you know what, let's not do this, and they left. It's kind of weird. But then it seems weird to do the message, and then
go right
and then
into
do
that.
something weird.
That would be kind of odd.
But guess that's what we'll do, because we improvise, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you guys here?
Another game of
Me now.
Connect 4?
Connect 4. Well, I mean, they're gone.
Do you want me to yell for there?
Camp can play. Nah, let me go. I'm used to this. Teenagers, am I right? Well, let's get into it, guys. Again, when I teach here, I kind of keep it short, because I like to. I mean, when it's on video, to me, it's kind of weird if I'm going to sit somewhere and someone's going to teach for like 30 minutes. It's like, no way. So this is more of a devotional or talk on a new normal. What is a new normal? This is our part 3, following Jesus. So notice I say that we should follow Jesus, and as we follow Jesus, we become like Jesus. I think as Christians, we really try to tell ourselves, I want to be like Jesus, and we should strive to, want to be like Jesus. But it's hard because Jesus, didn't sin, and Jesus was able to do a lot of things. And if we compare ourselves to Jesus, well, every day we're gonna fall short. Every day we're gonna fail. We should want to be like Jesus, but we're not like him. So I want to play with that a little bit and talk about, why we should follow Jesus. As we follow Jesus, we are able to mess up a little bit, and have grace. Jesus, being a really good teacher, he shows us how to be like him, and he teaches, instructs us. And if we mess up, the Bible shows us so many times how he forgives his, apostles, even though they're really stupid sometimes and they make big mistakes. But because they were following him, he forgave them, he showed them grace, and he kept teaching them over and over and over. So I want you guys to think about that. When we think of our relationship with God, we should always think about, I want to follow Jesus. Yes, I want to be like him, but I want to focus more on following him, and as if you're like literally following someone. So I want to talk about before I came here and before Bible college, I used to have a couple of jobs, and then I did Bible college at night school. And in both of those jobs, it was very important for me to follow the person above me, the person that would teach me things. And I realized that when I had a bad teacher, I didn't really learn things, but when I had a good teacher, he helped me grow. So let me share with you a few examples. When I worked at the wood shop, I worked at the wood shop for a couple of years, and I had this guy who would teach me a lot of things. He would walk me through how to build something. And so I literally followed him around the wood shop, and he'd show me this tool, and he's like, this is how you use it. So then I would use it. And then he'd take me to this, and he would cut this piece of wood like this. And if I would mess up, he wouldn't say, no, that's wrong, leave, you're not gonna do this again. He would say, okay, well, let's try this again. Here's another piece of wood, try it like this. And over time, I learned how to do things because he was a good teacher, and I learned a lot from him. He was patient, and it was really cool to be around someone who would take time to teach me something and not just reject me after I failed. In that same wood shop, I worked with people who was very touchy. They would tell me how to do things once. And if I didn't get it that once, they were very irritated. And they would let me know that they were very irritated if I didn't do something exactly. Something that was like stupid, ridiculous hard. Working at the ranch, I worked at the ranch for Brittany's dad for a while. And that was cool too. And see, and you guys might know Doug, Brittany's dad, and I think he's a really cool example of leading by example. He's an example of leading by example. When Doug wanted me to do something, he wouldn't just say, hey, go do this, and then leave and expect me to know what to do. Other people in the ranch did tell me that. They would say, just go do this, and I'm like, well, I don't know how to do it. And then they would be like, oh my gosh, this kid's an idiot. He doesn't know what to do. And they're right, I didn't know what to do. But Doug, it was crazy because Doug was like the owner of the place, and he still took time to do things with me. He told me once, he gave me a shovel, and he told me to clean the canal before the water would run through it. He said that if there's trash and grass and weeds would overgrow through the concrete canal, and dirt and all that would get in the water, and they would clog up the drains that would go into the field. That makes sense, but I was like, how do you clean a concrete ditch with a shovel? And instead of getting upset at me, he grabbed the shovel, he goes in the ditch, and he shows me how you scrape it, and you dig out the grass, the weeds, you throw them away, because if you don't, they're going to keep growing back. The boss, the owner of a giant farm, went walking through the ditch, throwing trash away, showing me how to do it. So from then on, I know how to clean a ditch because he showed me how. A good teacher takes time, to teach someone. He's patient. He will talk it over and over. I want you guys to keep that example in mind because that's how Jesus is. Jesus is not the type of teacher that says in the Bible, we see that he talks about, don't do this or do this. And then if we don't do it at the first time, if we don't get it perfectly, Jesus is upset at us and he's like, you're such an idiot, you're never going to get this. No. So many times in the Bible, Jesus would sit down with his disciples and talk through things with them. So many times in the Bible, Jesus would tell his disciples something, and it's like they wouldn't get it. Like, Jesus, what do you mean? So then he'd say it again. And through the Gospels, all 4 Gospels, Jesus had to say the same things over and over again. Love your neighbor. You know, don't be upset. You know, be patient with people. He would say so many things, so many times, because he knew that his followers weren't perfect. But that's the thing. They were following him, though. So even though they messed up a lot, they were still following Jesus, and Jesus kept forgiving them, showing them how to do things. And over time, you know, they got it. Even up to the day right before he died. I mean, you saw how many disciples left him, and Peter still, the night before they were trying to arrest Jesus, and Peter gets a knife and chops a dude's ear off, and it's like, dude, what about, like, why, you know? And Jesus like picks up the guy's ear and puts it back, which is one of those like weird Jesus moments that he does things like that. Jesus is patient. Jesus over his life served, you know, the people around him. Jesus would teach. Jesus forgave. Jesus did those things. So as we follow Jesus with our life, as we find this like new normal, as we're trying to see, you know, okay, let's redo our life schedule. We talked about scheduling and the importance of reading the Bible. We've talked about being in the Word, praying, being with other believers, serving God. As you're trying to like redo your life and try to please God with your life, think on these things. Jesus did, you know, whatever he did. Jesus did these things. If Jesus was alive today, if you were literally following him around every day, what would he do? What would he say? If he was in your house and your siblings did something against you, what would Jesus do in that same scenario? If you're at the grocery store and something happened, something weird happened, what would Jesus do? You know, if you're watching TV and something comes on that you probably shouldn't be watching, what would Jesus do? If your parents tell you to do something, or if you want to say something to your parents, what would Jesus do? I think it's interesting to think about those things. What would he do? How would he do it? If Jesus was my boss and he was showing me how to do something, you know, I'd follow him around and do things. Well, in that same way, we should try to follow Jesus around like that. We have the Bible. We don't have him, but we have his word. We have the things he said. We have the things he tells us to do, what not to do. Take the Bible and follow Jesus with your life. Take the Bible and read, and it's like, okay, Jesus said not to do this, so I'm not going to do it. Jesus said to love my neighbor. Jesus said to love my enemy. Jesus said to forgive people. So as the Bible tells us how to live, you know, try to follow Jesus with that. Jeff today had a sermon that went along with what I was teaching tonight really well, and he had some bullet points on things that we as Christians should follow. So I wanted to share those things really quickly before we move on to a conversation and to worship. A couple of things we can do to follow Jesus, to do things like he did. Jesus would be patient. He would listen. Jesus was, or we have to be followers of Jesus. We have to be teachable. We have to forgive, and we have to serve. Proverbs 15:18, talking about patience, says, hot tempers cause arguments, but patience brings peace. Hot tempers, people that are hot-headed, that love to argue and be upset. I mean, those people argue naturally. But the ones who are patient, those who listen, those who actually want resolution, those people bring peace. In social media, everything's blowing up right now. And it's the hot-headed people, that are the arrogant people that are making everything out of proportion. Whereas if we just had an actual conversation peacefully, a lot of things would get resolved. So Jesus is calling us to be patient. He's calling us to be teachable. Being teachable means that as Jesus is showing us something, we listen. We let him teach us. Proverbs 12:1 says, whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid. That's the Bible. So I can say you're stupid if you're not teachable, because that's what the Bible says. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid. And this verse talks about those who take correction You gain that knowledge, but if you hate it when someone tells you you're wrong, there's something foolish about that. We're not all right 100% of the time. We need someone to tell us when we're wrong. We all need someone to check us when we're wrong. And as someone tells you that, if they do it in love, we have to take it and be like, okay, maybe I am being arrogant. Maybe I am being, maybe I am getting worked up. Maybe I am wrong. We need to take that attitude and not always think that we're right all the time. That one hits me different because I am right most of the time. So it's kind of hard as a joke. Okay. The other one is forgiveness. Colossians 3:13 says we need to bear with one another, and if one has a complaint against another, we have to forgive the other person as God has forgiven us. So you have to forgive too. Matthew 6:12 says, God, and forgive us of our sins as we forgive those who have debts against us. So these two verses on forgiveness, we're called to forgive other people because God has forgiven us. If God has forgiven us, God himself has forgiven us of our sins, of everything wrong we've done against him. Who do we think we are by not forgiving other people if we're doing much less, So we need to be forgiving of other people. And then the last one is lead by serving. We need to serve people. We need to be examples. Hebrews 6:10 says, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people continue to help them. God will remember when you choose to serve other people. God will remember when you put others first. And think about it. That's what Jesus did. God came to earth, and he didn't come as a king and expected everyone to do everything for him. He came as a servant. He washed people's feet with his hands. Jesus would do things for people. He would heal them. He would love them. He would listen to those no one wanted to talk to. He would spend time with those that no one wanted to be with. Jesus loves all of you watching, and we need to love on others and serve on others just as he did. So, as Jesus would walk this earth today, the things that he would do, we need to follow in his steps and do those same things that Jesus did. That is what we're called to do as a follower of Jesus. And in the world, with everything going on, the media, everything around us, we are called to be examples. We are called to love on people, to talk about things that uplift one another, bring awareness of problems. We're called to be examples in every way. So just keep that in mind as you do what you do on social media, or as you talk to people, have conversations. You are an example. People are watching you. People expect you to do the right thing, to be an example. As a Christian, people are calling you out to do the right thing, to say the right thing. And I think we should take the challenge and do what's right and say what's right and show people what it's like to be a follower of Jesus. So Cam, I'm actually going to change things up. Let's do the discussion first, and we'll close on that with some worship. So I have Cam and Peyton here, and we're going to do a discussion on some of the things that we talked about tonight. So let's go to them. Let's go to these guys. I had asked you guys earlier. About this, what we talked about tonight. The question was, what are some areas in your life where you can improve on, like following Jesus? What are some areas that you're challenged in? Jesus did these things, and it's like, you know what, I could do better. I want to be better to do things like Jesus did. So, what do you guys think?
I think mine is being not quick to judge. I guess, because all of us, I guess, are that way. Where it's like, oh, I see this person. Well, I see them, but what are they? Who do they hang out with? Or what are they wearing? Stuff like that. And that shouldn't be stuff we judge on people. That's one thing that I always need to work on, is just not being like, okay, instead of being like, I know how this person's going to act because of who they hang out with. I mean, Jesus hung out with prostitutes, with sinners.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just like, it doesn't matter. The people you hang out with most of the time does not reflect who you are.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point.
For me, It's kind of two things. One's really basic, and it's something you can always like continue to get better at. You can always pray more and read more. But an extension of that is through all Jesus did his entire life, he was putting every single ounce of trust in his Father, and that's why he was able to do the things he did. And that's why his disciples, after he was gone and he taught them, they had full trust in Jesus and in God, and that's why they would be able to start the church and be able to perform the miracles they did. And for me, that full trust is what I need, and I know that just comes from more and more fellowship with God and others, and being really intentional.
So, to what you were saying, Cam, on the people Jesus was with, I personally do like agree with that, and so like I moved here to Indiana, and I didn't really have a lot of people I knew that weren't from the church. Like the only people I knew were from church, and lately that's been my call. I want to follow Jesus more and love people like he did. And Jesus went to the people. Jesus would go to the people, and he would meet them where they were at. And I personally need to do more of that. Just so you guys know, some of you might know, I did my own coffee cart nitro cold brew thing at the farmer's market. And the reason I did that, besides the fact that I really do love making coffee and serving it to people, was because I think that it's a great way for me to meet other people and talk to them and hopefully inspire a conversation about life. And it's not going to be like, hey, here's your coffee. Do you know who Jesus is? You know, which I guess could work for some people, but that's not my style. Actually, what I want to do with it is get to know people, bond over coffee, talk about life, and slowly make it be about, hey, you know, this is my life and what it's about. What's your life about? And as we get that trust out of love, I would talk to them about the love of Jesus. I mean, we all have needs. We all have, we all need someone to love us and to be there for us. And I want to place myself with people so that, I want to place myself in a place where I'm around other people. So I'm challenging myself to go in the community and to talk to people and to potentially share the love of God to them. And that inspires me, and it's on the same thing of I've been challenged. Jesus did things, and I want to do things like he did. So I'm going to follow him, and just as he went to the people, I'm going to go to the people as well. So what do you guys think that you can like practically start doing? Jesus did certain things. I feel this conviction. Like, what can you guys do in your life? What can you change to be more like Jesus in this way?
I think mine's love more freely with people. Just like really accept everyone. 'Cause, I mean, I do that all right now, but like trying even harder to like be a little bit more outgoing to get to know people instead of like even today I went to an open house and someone I didn't know came up and like was talking to me, and it was just like automatically I kind of like shut down. And I need to like work on that and not being like, okay, I'm gonna go back to my comfortable group of people I was with, and I went right back to those people. And that's been something that I've been like, that's really kind of been heavy on my shoulders today. Just like in the past couple hours, I was like, well, what could I have talked about with that person? They could have made that conversation something instead of it just being like, oh hey, it's good to see you.
Right.
Like that conversation could have been way better.
Right.
If I was more open to talking to people, like, cause I like to talk to people, but it's like being way more open to.
So then it's almost like when you are going somewhere, you just have to remind yourself, okay, I'm going to go to this place, I'm going to try to be more outgoing to people I don't know, and if they talk about life, and there's a way for me to talk about, you know, about God or anything like that, then I will. If it doesn't happen, okay, but at least you're prepping yourself for it. I think we sometimes like don't think about it at all, so when we're on the spot, it's like, I don't know. And so you just don't do anything. So that's a good,
Yeah.
you know, preparing yourself mentally. What about you, Peyton?
I'm pretty similar. Recently, I have been really working on expanding my bubble of people from just the Christian group that's been my guys for a couple years now, and just anyone that goes here really. It's kind of been my comfort zone, but I have been pushing outside because I trust myself not to let it drag me down more than I'm building them up, which used to be a problem and why I cut back. But what I can start doing now that, you know, I'm close to these people again and I have connected to them is I'm in a place where I can start sharing and be the good influence on them and spiritually pour into them instead of just, because I've just been there as a friend, but I can be doing even more to help them out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a specific situation, kind of, but.
So, would you say that, because both of you, what you guys are talking about is more like the immediate group of people you're in. It's easy to be comfortable. It's easy to automatically, like, this is awkward. I'm going to go back to my group of friends. I know it's not going to be weird. So you're saying, it happens to be in both of your cases that it's more of just talking to people. You're not even talking to the weirdest people around. You're just talking to people that are not always with you. So I think there's something to that. We all like comfort. We all like to be with who we know and do what we do. So it's more of a comfort thing. Jesus did things that were uncomfortable to most people. You know, Jesus would be walking around and a bunch of random people wanted his attention. Jesus, come here. Jesus, eat dinner with us. Jesus, do this. And like you were saying, Jesus did eat dinner with the people no one liked. Jesus did put himself out there. And I guess that's the challenge to you guys too. Is we all like to do only what we like to do and be with the people that we're comfortable with. But if we are following Jesus, he did talk to other people. You know, he never had a comfort zone. Well, actually, he was always comfortable doing those things, but he never was in this little zone of this is the only thing I do. Jesus always kept doing things that kept surprising people. Like, why would you go, hang out with this lady? Do you not know she's a prostitute? She was a prostitute, and you're talking to her? Like, that's weird. Or you're going with this guy who's stealing money from all these people. Like, why? Because he loved them. Because those people deserved to be loved too, and Jesus saw them as more than hated people. So if we're going to follow Jesus, we should follow him in that regard too. If even talking to people that when you see them, we all know those people, you see them and it's like, okay, here they come, but those people need love too. So, yeah, that was good. Good little conversation there. Cam, would you lead us in a song? This is a new song. We've never played it at a youth group. But try to listen in on the lyrics. We'll do it right here. And as we do that, you can get ready for, you lost. You can get ready for the big showdown. We'll be back over here. So I'll get it out the way, and then Cam's going to lead us in a song. gonna say a quick prayer, Ken?
I definitely will. Hey God, thank you, man, so much for letting us have this time of youth group, even in these kind of trialing times, that we're able to have it on YouTube. I think that's really cool, man. And I just thank you so much for that. I thank you so much for everybody in this youth group, everybody in part of this family. And just thank you for giving us all another day. Because, I mean, that's pretty good, man. You gave us another day. We're all here. We're all watching. And, Lord, just look over this whole entire world and this nation right now, that we become more united as a people. And I just thank you for everything that you have done, that you will do. And thank you for an amazing night like tonight. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I don't want to eat this. For those of you who missed it, I lost Connect 4. So here we have dry oatmeal mixed with mustard and relish. And it smells real bad. And it looks kind of like there's like boogers in it.
I'll be nice to you. One good spoonful. That's all you gotta do.
Is this a good spoonful?
Swallow.
I don't know if I can do that. I think it's gonna hit my mouth. My body's just gonna reject it. I don't.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
No.
Oh no.
You got a little.
It's like a train wreck. I can't watch.
Unfazed.
You mean you can't look away?
Yes, that's what I mean.
Oh man.
It's not good,
It's not bad.
but it smells so much worse than it tastes.
Cover your nose and take another bite.
So like almost like you want to eat another bite is what I'm saying.
No.
He wants to
That's what
eat
I
the
heard.
whole
I said it's not good,
Okay.
and I mean it's not good.
All right.
If anybody else wants to try it,
Well, that's what you get for losing at Connect 4. All right, guys. Well, that's all we have for tonight. Thank you for joining us. High school students, will see you this Wednesday night for another gathering. And middle school students, stay tuned, because soon enough we are going to be able to meet again, hopefully. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.